welcome back to another tutorial Tuesday. Today on Yoga with Paige, we have Goddess Pose that we'll be diving into and learning all about. This hip opening posture is a beginner level, but we do like to have ourselves warmed up for this deep hip opener. It is an all over body activation as it strengthens almost the entire body. So we're going to take a quick look at the proper alignment before we start talking about the benefits and different variations and how to make this pose comfortable for you. So before we dive into this pose, a lot of times we want to make sure that we are a little bit warmed up, as this one takes a lot of strength as well as the deep stretch. So warming up with poses like bound angle or malasana, I can link the tutorials for those classes as well if you missed those. Can kind of help open up the groins before we start really getting in there. Alignment for Goddess Pose. We want our feet more than hip distance apart. The toes point to the sides or the corners of the mat. As we exhale, we bend the knees and start to sink the pelvis down. So as we are grounding through the bottoms of the feet, feeling nice and stable in our foundation here, we think of this line coming up. So we want our knees facing back. We're trying to externally rotate the hips. So we're trying to send the thighs, think of rolling them back towards the back of the room. Trying to send the knees out as far as we can. So to make that happen, we are active in our core, sucking the navel into the spine, helping to protect the lower back. We are squeezing the glutes as we send the pelvis down. So we're opening up as we lift. We're also sending the hips down as we reach the chest up and out. So we want a nice broad chest and shoulders. The traditional hands for this posture are cactus arms. So we want the elbows in line with the shoulders. And then we want the forearms parallel to each other. Palms face forward, fingers are spread wide. We're taking up space. We're starting to build up that heat here. Strengthening everything. So grounding down through the feet, squeezing through the glutes, sucking the core muscles in to lift up, feeling nice and open here. As you can imagine, this posture strengthens, builds a lot of strength in the entire lower body. If we keep our arms up in this cactus formation, we also start to strengthen the muscles of the shoulders, the chest, and the upper back. So we stretch the inner groins, the glutes, and the hip flexors, the psoas muscles, as well as strengthening all of those areas, and including the feet, the knees, the glutes, the hip flexors, the quadriceps. Those will get a nice little burn. The core, the chest, everything is really active in this posture. It should come as no surprise that regular practice of this posture can help increase your flexibility and improve your joint mobility. Joint mobility of the ankles and the knees, the hip joints as well, but the knees and the ankles have a lot of pressure and weight forced upon them. So as we are using the stabilizer muscles for the joints, they are really lubricated, warmed up, and strengthened. This pose is wonderful if we are a desk worker. It helps reverse our posture of sitting all day where we compress everything. Our spine, our hips really opens everything up and gives us a chance to strengthen those muscles as we weaken them as we sit for longer periods of time. So as we're really open in the hips, we send a lot of blood circulation down toward the pelvis region. It really helps to strengthen the pelvis. So this is great for prenatal women and women who are after their 40 days-ish of intense care after childbirth. This posture is great for postnatal and prenatal, can help open you up and get you ready for childbirth. This posture also, since we are talking about the base of the spine, the lower body, it connects to our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and our solar plexus chakra, because we're inviting the heat into the belly. It taps into the solar plexus as well. So when we're talking about the root and sacral chakras, we bring about a lot of grounding, emotional stability, feelings of confidence and self-esteem are cultivated as we connect to our inner fire and our strength of this posture. So it decreases the muscular tension in the lower body and the pelvic region. Great for women, great for men with urinary incontinence. And it is also great for just the circulation of the blood, the prana. We help flush out the negative energies and just get everything flowing and recirculating. Goddess pose is a beginner level pose. So the only contraindications are people that have had surgeries or already experienced pain in some of these areas. So if we have any joint or arthritis, severe arthritis pain in our knees, our ankles, or our hips, we should avoid this posture. As well as people who have had surgeries or are recovering from surgeries. Honestly, in any big part of the body, this connects most all of our body parts. So if we have any surgeries, I would recommend maybe skipping this posture if it doesn't feel good. If it feels all right, also always check with your doctor before performing any of these postures, as I am not a physician. I'm just here to try and give you the information that I know to make you feel good. So listen to your body, listen to your doctors, and if you have an injury to your upper body, you can definitely perform this pose. Maybe just let the arms drop by the sides, or we'll show you a few variations here coming in the next few seconds that you can try to take some pressure off of your upper body. If you have high blood pressure, as this posture does circulate everything, get it moving around, I would recommend to avoid this pose as well. So now let's jump into the modifications and fun variations. We can spice it up a little bit. So modification number 1 is we can place our back against the wall for support. So keeping the toes turned out, we start to align our back with the wall. This can help, it's getting deep in the glutes. This can help with our posture and to understand what our body is supposed to feel as we are in this pose. Now, this is not the best chair to be using. I don't have a lot of chairs in my house, which is really weird, but we can use a chair as well. So we place our hips on the chair. We have our legs open just like we would if we were standing up, but this is good if we lack a little bit of balance, or maybe we're just struggling with our stability here. Again, another place to find what this pose is supposed to feel like in your body before we take the props away. And if we've gone through both of those and those feel fine, we work through those. Our next is we can place our hands on our hips or on our knees to help us balance in between letting our hands go and the wall and the chair. There are so many ways that we can play around with goddess pose. These are some of the ones that I include in my classes and some of the ones that I enjoy, but it is not limited to the ones that I show you here. There are multiple ways that we can add in little flows, little mini movements with goddess pose as one of the transitions. So I will just show you a few different ways, a few different arm variations. One of the variations is to revolve. So we take the hands to the knees, we dip one shoulder in, and we twist behind. We want to make sure that we do both sides and make them even. We can also take a side stretch, so reaching the arms up and then sending them over to the side, really extending through the fingertips. And we can take this further by dropping one of the hands to the ground and reaching up for horse stretch. And we can take the arms up, wrap them in front, eagle arms, opening up through the upper back. We can take the hands behind the head and find little tilts, side stretches here. Really using your balance. Coming up on the tiptoes is one of my favorite ways to play around with this pose. So we can try one foot at a time, or both. Forward bend with the hands on the knees. Taking the chest towards the mat. And if we want to challenge ourselves a little more, We can do this on the tiptoes as well. Really using your breath to help you deepen. And we also have a fun little spider pose. So dropping the hands down, taking the chest towards the mat. We cross the arms over, really sinking into the hip creases here. We can play around with our hands, making them like a little spider. Another fun one to do is star pose. So we have star, and then coming down into goddess. We can have the hands raised up. We can have them, honestly, we can just play around. I have not dived into the science on mudras or a lot of the hand positions yet, but I know that this goddess pose is such a feminine energy and such a connecting pose that a lot of people like to add in mudras or connection points like that in this posture. So feel free to play around, add in some stuff. Next time you take a class that has goddess pose in it, play around, get on your tippy toes, make some weird arm movements, have fun with it. See what calls to you in this pose, and I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial class. Maybe we found some extra little funky variations to play with, and I look forward to seeing you next time on our Tutorial Tuesdays.